Welcome, Robert.
How everybody doing? Yeah, life be life. Life be life. So, my story is about a young teenage boy that has overcome unimaginable odds. So one day in 1991, I'm riding a bike with my brother and a friend named David. My brother was Sean David. And we're riding, and David sees a plastic bag on the ground. He picks it up. And it was a yellow, hard substance. And he said, I know what this is. He said, this is crack. I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what he was talking about. And he said, my aunt likes it. He said, we can get some money for snacks. I might have been, about 11 years old. So, my brother, he said, Uncle Bob likes it. So we ride a few more blocks down, we see Uncle Bob. And Uncle Bob used some. So that's when my whole life changed. I grew up in a single parent household with 10 siblings. My mother, 7 boys, 3 girls. That's my sister over there. Okay. My father was a great man, but he fell victim to drug addiction. He had an accident on his job that forced him to be in the hospital for like a year, and he became addicted to opioids and eventually heroin. So that made him like absent out of our life. So here I am in my community, and in my community, crack hit my community like a bomb. Everybody was like either using it or selling it in some form or fashion. So here I am as a young teen, seeing my life, seeing the world through the small or crack smoke around my community. I didn't see nothing else. So I'm going through my life. So by the time I'm 17, I've been in a little trouble. So me and a friend, we go to a party, and we get into a confrontation with some other guys. A fight at Gulf's, and one of the guys pulled out a gun and he shot me in my abdomen. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. Now my mother, she was a great mother. She taught us everything. She taught us the rules of life. If it wasn't for my mother putting what she put into me and my brothers and my sister, I would have succumbed to my life, to the odds that I had to face, that I was forced to face. So, back to getting shot. I'm 17 years old. We get into a confrontation. One of the guys pull out a gun, he shoot me in my abdomen. I go down. I remember being put in the ambulance, and I just remember, just like it just started getting dark. Everything just started getting dark around me, like it just started closing in. So I started just swinging and fighting, knocking over the IV thing, and I'm like, I'm dying. And then it went away. Fast forward, I went through 14 hours of surgery. The bullet severed hit my spleen, my colon, my intestines, and it severed my aorta vein in my stomach. So I was bleeding out eternally. The surgeon came in and told me, he said, you're lucky. He said, you're lucky. He said, with these type of injuries, you should have been dead on arrival. He said, it's a miracle that you're alive. I told him, I said, it just wasn't my time to go. It wasn't an arrogant thing, it was just something that came to me. So I'm struggling. So I don't know what's going on with my injury. So I had to wear a colostomy bag from the injuries. If anyone knows what a colostomy bag is. So here I am, I'm a 17-year-old with a colostomy bag. I'm back in my community. And right after that, I get in some trouble. So one night, I was driving and I get pulled over by unmarked cars. I was going to meet my son's mother. That's my son. That's Robert. So, and at the time, she was pregnant with him. She might have been like 1 or 2 pregnant. And so they pulled me over there, arrested me. They take me to jail. I had about $50 in my pocket. They said you're going to jail for drug trafficking. I'm like, what are you talking about? So they take me to jail. They lock me up. The next day they come. They bring more charges. And they said, we charged me with possession of drugs. I said, I didn't have no drugs. What are you talking about? It just fell on deaf ears. I end up in trial. I'm still standing on my innocence. So I didn't have no drugs. I didn't drug traffic. So I go through trial. I'm eventually found guilty for trafficking in crack cocaine and possession of crack cocaine. Non-violent offenses, and I was sentenced to a 38-year mandatory sentence. So following my trial, I'm into the appeal process. So I didn't have no money. My family didn't have no money. So I had a court-appointed attorney that the state had to provide for me. So my court-appointed appellate attorney filed my notice of appeal, if anyone knows anything about the law. But my attorney, for some reason or another, I still don't know to this day, did not file my appellate briefs, which resulted in my appeal being dismissed. So here I am, I'm a young man, a 17-year-old, navigating the legal system. I'm in prison. I got a colostomy bag on. I'm in prison. It's rough. It's rough. And then once the prisoners found out that I had a colostomy bag, they thought it was a weakness where they can take advantage of it. So I had to fight. And I actually had been in fights with guys who were trying to hit me in my stomach. So I'm going through that. I start working. I didn't understand what was going on, so my appeal was dismissed. I didn't know my appeal was dismissed until maybe like a few years later, because I didn't know nothing about the law. My attorney didn't contact me, didn't nobody know. So when I really figured out what was going on, I got another attorney, and so I'm trying to get my appeal reopened. I want, to have a higher court look at my trial. And it fell on deaf ears. I was screaming, I was asking for help, and it just fell on deaf ears. I said, I didn't have no drugs, I'm innocent. It fell on deaf ears. I told I never had an appeal. Where's my direct appeal? It fell on deaf ears. So I'm studying, I'm in the law library, I'm studying law. I eventually get my paralegal in prison. And I'm studying law, and I'm looking at the law, and the law says that I have a constitutional right to a direct appeal. So I'm not understanding. And that went on for probably a couple decades. While I'm in prison, I'm bettering myself. And I had a strong faith in God that my mother put in me. And I just knew, I said, I'm not a bad person. I know I don't belong in prison. You know, I was a good kid. You know, I always wanted to help everybody. Even my friends used to make jokes of me like, man, you always trying to be a peacemaker. You know, because I'm like, man, come on, man, we don't, you know. But you know, that was just my heart. I just want to always keep peaceful. I want to keep everything 100 with everybody. I wanted everybody to get along. That was me. That's my character. I'm still like that. I was even a peacemaker in prison. So, where am I? So I'm on the appeal. So I'm bettering myself in prison. I get my paralegal. I'm educating myself every way I can. And I just knew, I said, I know God did not allow something like this to happen to me for no reason. I know I didn't deserve it. And I said, there's something else here, so I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. And I was screaming and fighting the whole way. And it just seemed like nobody would listen, nobody would help me. But my family. That's life. That's life be life. And eventually, I was released after serving 25 years, 1 month and 1 week from prison by the grace of God, by God's intervention. And the moral of my story is with my resilience, with my faith in God, I beat the odds. I beat the odds of being murdered as a youth. So I know God wasn't done with me. I survived 25 years in prison. You know, in some of the roughest prisons. You know, that still have my health, my mental health. So I say it with my faith, my resilience, my faith in God and my resilience, I beat the odds. And I am the program coordinator and the lead youth advocate at Sunlight Village for the Connection for Success Youth Leadership Program. Because I truly wonder what the world would look like for youth that don't have to beat the odds. I do. So as a community, we have to pay more attention to our youth. Because I can't even imagine what my mother went through to see her child taken to prison. I can't imagine what her 17-year-old child taken to prison and she not knowing when he's coming back home. I can't imagine what my family went through. Some of them thought they would never see me. But here I am. I'm back in the community. I'm playing my part. I'm giving back. And I overcame unimaginable odds.